She doesn't miss you. She misses the control she had over you. Let that sink in, deep into the part of your mind you've been avoiding. You've been telling yourself a story, a comforting lie about misunderstood intentions and bad timing. But the truth is far more brutal. She didn't just reject you, she dissected you. She found every insecurity, every weakness, every desperate need for her validation, and she leveraged it all until your entire sense of self was dependent on her next move. You weren't a man she was getting to know. You were a puzzle she was solving for her own amusement. And once she solved it, once she knew every piece and how it fit, she got bored and put you back in the box. That feeling? The cold pit in your stomach when you'd see she was online, active. But your message remained unread. You draft the perfect text, something witty, something deep, something that was supposed to spark that connection you felt was just one clever sentence away. You'd hit send, and the wait would begin. An hour, 3 hours, a day. And with every passing minute, your power evaporated. You became a prisoner to your phone, a slave to a notification that might never come. You were performing for an audience of one, and she wasn't even in the theater. She was out, living her life, while you were paused, waiting for her to press play. You convinced yourself this was the chase, the natural dance of attraction. It wasn't a dance. It was an execution. She held the axe, willingly placed your neck on the block, hoping she'd admire your courage. She didn't. She just saw a volunteer. You thought being the nice guy was the strategy. You offered your time, your emotional support, your unwavering availability. You became her rock, her confidant, the one she called when other men disappointed her. You absorbed her problems, celebrated her victories, and put your own life on hold, believing your loyalty would eventually be rewarded. But you made a catastrophic miscalculation. You confused utility with attraction. A woman might appreciate a rock, but she doesn't desire it. She desires fire, unpredictability, a force she cannot fully control. By being her ever-present, ever-reliable utility, you became as exciting as a household appliance. Useful, dependable, and utterly devoid of the thrilling tension that fuels obsession. You became the safe harbor, and she is a ship built for the storm. The ancient strategists of warfare warned that he who defends everything defends nothing. You tried to be her everything, her friend, her therapist, her cheerleader, and in doing so, you became nothing. Nothing she craved, nothing she respected. The game you thought you were playing was a lie. You were playing checkers, moving one predictable square at a time, while she was playing a grandmaster's game of chess, 5 moves ahead, sacrificing pawns to capture the king. You didn't even know you were a pawn. You thought your feelings, your logic, your sincerity were the most powerful pieces on the board. In reality, they were your biggest vulnerabilities. Attraction is not a logical negotiation. It is a subconscious, primal reaction. It is not one with reason. It is triggered by emotion. It operates in the shadows of the mind, in the unspoken language of power, distance, and perceived value. She understood this instinctively. It's a language women speak fluently, a set of rules they enforce without ever writing them down. You were trying to win a war by writing poetry on the battlefield. What if you could learn that language? What if the very tactics that were used to dismantle you could be understood, reversed, and mastered? What if her cold indifference, her calculated distance, her intermittent validation were not random acts of cruelty, but a blueprint, a strategic manual for creating obsessive, undeniable attraction? Imagine for a moment, flipping the board. Imagine her being the one checking her phone, waiting for your reply. Imagine her being the one replaying your conversations, trying to decipher your next move. Imagine her feeling that same cold pit in her stomach, wondering why she no longer has control over your emotions. This is not a fantasy. It is a matter of strategy. It's about understanding that the source of your powerlessness was never her. It was your ignorance of the game. The pain you feel now is the tuition for an education you desperately need. The question is, are you ready to graduate from victim to master? Because the path to regaining your power begins not with getting her back, but with taking yourself back, piece by agonizing piece, and rebuilding a man she is no longer qualified to understand, let alone control. If this cold reality strikes a chord deep within you, if you have ever felt the slow erosion of your self-worth at the hands of another's indifference, then understand that this channel is not a place for comfort. It is an armory. Subscribe now, activate all notifications, and press the like button as a declaration of war against your own weakness. This is your first strategic move. In the comments below, I demand to know two things. What city are you operating from? And what was the single moment you realized you were not a player in the game, but a piece being played? Unburden yourself of that memory, not as a confession, but as a testament. We will turn that scar into a shield. Let's perform an autopsy on your surrender. Your authority was not taken from you in a single glorious battle. It was bled out, one drop at a time, through a series of tactical errors you mistook for acts of love. This was not a failure of heart. It was a failure of strategy. You entered a war zone armed with poetry and expected a trophy. Now, let's re-examine the battlefield, not with the fog of your emotions, but with the cold, unforgiving clarity of a military debriefing. The first phase of your collapse was emotional concession. It began subtly. She had a bad day at work, and you felt it was your duty to fix it. You canceled your plans, you shelved your own ambitions for the evening, you became her emotional sponge. You thought you were being supportive. Strategically, you were communicating a fatal weakness. Her emotional state held veto power over your life. She tested the perimeter. She broadcasted a signal of distress, and you abandoned your post to rush to her side. The test was simple. Is his world anchored to his own purpose, or does it orbit mine? You gave her the answer without a second thought. She tested. You yielded. She won. This pattern repeated. Her minor frustrations became your urgent missions. Her anxieties became your responsibility. You started apologizing for things that were not your fault, simply to restore her calm. You apologized for the rain, for the traffic, for a friend's insensitive comment. Each apology was a small transfer of power. You were teaching her that your peace was contingent on her happiness, a lesson she learned with terrifying efficiency. From there, you descended into the second phase, the loss of control. Having established that your emotional reality was subordinate to hers, she began, consciously or not, to probe the boundaries of your time and identity. It started with small requests. Can we watch this movie instead? I don't like action films. You conceded, telling yourself it was a small compromise. But it wasn't about the movie. It was about precedent. Soon your weekends were dictated by her social calendar. Your friend groups began to merge, with hers taking priority. You stopped going to the gym as often because she preferred you were home with her. You muted your own passions, your hobbies, the very things that made you a complete individual before you met her, because they took time and focus away from her. You thought you were building a life together. What you were actually doing was demolishing your own to make room for hers. The man she was initially attracted to, the one with his own life, his own mission, his own unshakable frame, was being systematically dismantled by your own hand. You became predictable. You became available. You became a utility. And the fundamental law of power is that utility is never respected, only used. This leads directly to the third and most pathetic phase, the endless, desperate quest for validation. By this point, your own internal sense of worth was so depleted that you needed her validation to feel whole. Her approval became your oxygen. You started dressing for her, talking for her, even thinking for her. You'd tell a story and watch her face, not for her engagement, but for her approval. If she didn't smile, the story was a failure. If she seemed bored, you felt like a failure. Your conversations were no longer an exchange of ideas. They were auditions. You performed for her, hoping for a crumb of praise, a flicker of the desire she showed you at the beginning. Do you remember asking, "Is everything okay?" when she went quiet for more than 5 minutes? That question was not born of concern for her. It was a desperate plea. Please validate my existence. Please tell me I am still valuable to you. You were a beggar, and she held all the currency. She could make your entire day with a single compliment or destroy it with a moment of indifference. She tested you, and you failed again and again. Then comes the rock bottom, the fourth phase, complete affective dependency. This is the stage where her power over you is absolute. Your emotions are no longer your own. They are a reflection of her whims. If she is happy, you are granted a temporary reprieve and feel a rush of relief. If she is distant, cold, or silent, you are plunged into a state of anxiety and despair. Her silence is the most potent weapon in her arsenal. It is not an absence of communication, it is a broadcast of dominance. Her silence is dominance, not distraction. While you frantically analyze every past interaction, replaying conversations in your head and trying to decipher where you went wrong, she is simply exercising control. She knows that her withdrawal will provoke a desperate reaction from you. She knows you will break first. You check your phone compulsively. She's online, posting on social media, talking to others, but your message is left on read. This is a deliberate strategic maneuver. It is designed to destabilize you, to make you feel insignificant, to force you to escalate your efforts to regain her attention. You have become the rat in her psychological experiment, frantically pressing a lever for a pellet of affection that she dispenses at her leisure. Finally, the fifth phase, the unconditional surrender, breaking the silence. After days or weeks of this agonizing uncertainty, you can't take it anymore. You crack. You send the long paragraph, the "we need to talk" text. You pour out all your insecurities, your frustrations, your needs. You explain how her distance makes you feel. You are attempting to use logic and emotion to solve a problem of power. It is the strategic equivalent of bringing a heartfelt letter to a gunfight. In that moment, you hand her the complete manual to your own destruction. You tell her exactly how to hurt you, what you fear, and how desperate you are for her. You think you are being vulnerable and honest. She sees you as weak and exposed. When you asked her for forgiveness, you were begging for mercy from your conqueror. When you apologized for feeling needy, you signed your surrender. You gave her the one thing she needed to maintain control indefinitely. The knowledge that she could dismantle you at will, and you would blame yourself for it. Do you see the pattern? The slow, methodical erosion of your power, disguised as compromise and care? If this diagnosis cuts you to the bone, if you recognize your own story in this grim autopsy, then it is time to stop mourning the man you were and start building the man you must become. This is your war room. So hit the like button as a first strike against your weakness. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications to ensure you receive every critical briefing. And in the comments, I want you to answer this, not for me, but for yourself. What was the one small compromise you made that you now realize was the first step in your surrender? Name the concession that started the avalanche. This is not about shame, it's about identifying the enemy's point of entry. Now, I know the objections forming in your mind. But relationships are about communication and compromise, you scream silently. You are clinging to a rulebook for a game no one else is playing. Communication without leverage is begging. Compromise without a foundation of unshakable self-respect is just a slow-motion surrender. You believe your sincerity and good intentions should have been enough. That is the most dangerous lie you tell yourself. The world, and especially the dynamics between men and women, does not operate on good intentions. It operates on perceived value, on power, on the unspoken understanding of who needs the other more. You openly demonstrated that you needed her more than she needed you, and in that moment, the game was over. Your fall wasn't loud. It didn't happen in a shouting match. It happened in the silence of your hesitation. It happened in the yes you gave when your entire being screamed. It happened every time you chose her comfort over your own respect. No one is coming to save you. Your salvation does not lie in winning her back. It lies in understanding these dynamics so completely that you become the architect of your own reality, a man whose power is so intrinsic that it can never be conceded again. There is no going back for the weak man. There is only the construction of the new. Let that sentence burn itself into your mind, cauterizing the wounds of your past self. The man who begged, who compromised his soul for a crumb of affection, who waited by the phone like a prisoner waiting for a pardon, that man is dead. You will not mourn him. You will not honor his memory. You will treat his existence as a strategic failure, a case study in what happens when emotion is allowed to command an army destined for defeat. Your reconstruction is not a journey of healing. It is the retooling of a weapon. It is the cold, methodical assembly of a man governed not by the chaotic whims of his heart, but by the unshakable logic of power. This is not about feeling better. It is about becoming better. It is about becoming formidable. Your first command is to cut the excess. Everything in your life that served her, that was designed to please her, that was maintained in the desperate hope of her approval, must be surgically removed. This is a scorched earth policy against your own weakness. That playlist you made for her? Delete it. The pictures of her on your phone? Erase them without a second glance. Social media accounts you follow that remind you of her? Unfollow, block, remove. You must create a sterile environment, an operational theater free of emotional landmines. Every object, every song, every digital artifact that connects you to your period of servitude is a monument to your defeat, and you will build no monuments to your own failure. This is not an act of anger. It is an act of strategic hygiene. You are cleansing your operational space of contaminants that could compromise the mission. The mission is you. Your friends who were more her friends than yours, the ones who report back to her, they are now considered potential enemy combatants, sources of intelligence leaks. You will reduce contact to the bare minimum. You are amputating the gangrenous limbs of your old life before the infection spreads to the new man you are building. This process will be brutal, but sentiment is a luxury only the victorious can afford. You are not yet victorious. Your second command, install the silence. This is your most powerful weapon, and you have been terrified to use it. Her power over you was built on her ability to extract a reaction. Your anxiety, your pleading, your anger, your long paragraphs, they were all fuel for her engine of control. You will now cut the fuel line. This begins with installing a period of absolute unbroken silence, no contact, not for her birthday, not for the holidays. Not because you saw something that reminded you of her. You will disappear from her reality so completely that she will begin to question if you ever truly existed. This is not the petulant silence of a child. This is the strategic silence of a predator. It is an absence that speaks louder than any words you could ever muster. When she inevitably reaches out with a casual "hey," a meaningless meme, or a sudden "I miss you" when she's bored or another man has disappointed her, you will do nothing. You will not respond. You will read the message, feel the pathetic surge of adrenaline, and you will crush it. Every time you refuse to answer, you seize a piece of power back. Her text is a probe, a reconnaissance mission to see if her control network is still active. Your silence is the equivalent of a communications blackout. It tells her the target is no longer on the grid. It tells her the codes have been changed. Her probes will become more frantic. She will go from casual to confused to angry. She will accuse you of being childish or cruel. Let her. Her emotional outbursts are the death rattles of her dominance over you. A man who wants to be loved will be discarded. A man who imposes his presence will be feared. And your silence is the most imposing presence of all. Do not reconquer. Replace with a sharper silence. Your third command, control the reaction. In the event that interaction is unavoidable, a mutual friends event, a chance encounter, you must become a master of strategic indifference. Your old self would have seen this as an opportunity, a chance to show her how much you've changed, to spark that old connection. This is a trap. Your new mission is to demonstrate that she holds zero emotional real estate in your mind. You will be polite but brief. You will be calm but distant. You will make eye contact, offer a slight, indifferent nod, and then your attention will immediately and genuinely shift elsewhere. You are not ignoring her. You are simply prioritizing literally everything else in the room over her. If she engages you in conversation, your answers will be short, factual, and devoid of emotional investment. You will not ask her questions about her life. You are not an intelligence officer gathering data on a failed state. You are a passing dignitary with more important matters to attend to. The ultimate power move is to end the interaction first. After a minute or two of bland pleasantries, you say, "Well, good to see you. I need to go speak with someone." Turn and walk away. You have just communicated in the clearest possible terms that her presence is no longer a priority. You have become an enigma. The man she had completely figured out, the open book she grew bored of reading, has become a locked text in a language she cannot understand. She will leave that interaction not angry, but deeply unsettled. And that is the seed of obsession. While this external war of silence and indifference is being waged, your internal war of reconstruction must be relentless. This is where you focus on the 4 pillars of hierarchical dominance. First, the physical. You will treat your body like a weapon system that requires constant upgrades. The gym is your new temple and your new factory. You are not there to get a beach body. You are there to forge discipline, to build physical presence, to become a man whose very form communicates power. Every rep, every drop of sweat is an act of rebellion against the weak man you left behind. Second, the financial. You will channel all of that wasted emotional energy into your mission, your career, your investments. Money is not the root of all evil. It is the language of freedom and power in the modern world. It quantifies your value to society. Become so consumed with building your empire that thoughts of her become an annoying distraction, like a pop-up ad in the middle of a critical task. Third, the social. You will rebuild your social circle, not as a support group, but as a network of allies. You will be seen in high-status environments with interesting people. Your social media, if you use it at all, will become a curated portfolio of a man living a life of purpose and adventure, a life that has no room for her. You are not posting for her. You are posting a public declaration of your own rising stock value. Fourth, the symbolic. This is your frame, your unwavering purpose. The man she knew was a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the storms of her moods. The new man is a battleship with a singular destination, and anyone not on board with the mission is irrelevant. You must be an absence that carries weight, not a presence that begs. This is not a hopeful plan to win her back. Let me be clear. That woman is gone. The dynamic you had is dead. You are not trying to resurrect a corpse. You are building a new kingdom on the ashes of your old one, and the queen of that old, pathetic kingdom is not invited to the new one. The goal is not to have her fall in love with you again. The goal is to build a man of such immense value and unshakable frame that you wouldn't even be attracted to the kind of woman who was drawn to your former weakness. The ultimate victory is not her desperate text message. It is the moment you receive that message, read it, and feel absolutely nothing. It is the moment you realize that her validation is no longer the currency of your realm. You have minted your own. This is the blueprint. This is the manual for your resurrection. It requires a level of discipline and emotional coldness you have not yet accessed. So, as your first act of this new protocol, I command you to engage. Press the like button as a symbolic strike against your past self. Subscribe and activate all notifications because this is no longer entertainment. This is your new strategic command center, and you cannot afford to miss a single directive. Now, for your first public declaration of war against your weakness. In the comments below, I want you to state the single greatest emotional indulgence you will cut from your life, starting now. Is it checking her social media? Is it talking about her with your friends? Is it listening to songs that remind you of her? Name your weakness, and in doing so, sign its death warrant. Make a public contract with yourself and with the men here who are on the same path. Let the purge begin. We have arrived at the endgame. The board, once tilted so steeply against you, has been reset. The pieces you meticulously rebuilt, your body, your finances, your mission, your very soul, are now in position. And as the laws of power dictate, a vacuum must be filled. Your absence, once a void of your own pain, has become a gravitational force, pulling on the reality of the one who discarded you. The inevitable happens. A notification lights up your screen. It's her. The message is perfectly engineered for plausible deniability. A simple, "Hey, I was just thinking about you." It is not a question. It is a summons. A year ago, this message would have sent a jolt of desperate hope through your system. Your heart would have hammered against your ribs, your mind racing to craft the perfect reply. You would have seen it as an opening, a chance to reclaim what was lost. But you are not the man you were a year ago. That man was buried under miles of concrete and steel, in the foundation of the empire you have since built. You look at the name on the screen, and you feel nothing. Not anger, not victory, not even the faint echo of pain. You feel the calm, detached curiosity of a scientist observing a predictable chemical reaction. You see the message for what it is, a probe, a desperate ping sent into the void, checking to see if the old control codes still work. She isn't thinking of you. She is thinking of the feeling of power she had over you. She misses the certainty that with a few simple words, she could command your entire emotional state. She is testing the leash. And she finds that the leash is not just slack. It is no longer attached to anything. You read the message, you put the phone down, and you return to your work. The message remains unread. The summons goes unanswered. Days later, another message arrives. This one is longer. It mentions a memory, an inside joke, a carefully chosen lure from the past. It's a pathetic attempt to reactivate the emotional triggers she installed. You see it, and you almost feel a flicker of something, but it is not nostalgia. It is contempt. Contempt for the weakness she is trying to prey upon, a weakness that no longer exists. You see her tactics with the cold clarity of a general watching an enemy deploy an obsolete weapon. It is predictable. Clumsy. It is irrelevant. You delete the notification without opening the message. Your silence is no longer a strategy to provoke a reaction from her. It is a statement of fact. It is the new reality. Your world no longer has a space designated for her input. You have not locked the door. You have demolished the wing of the castle where she used to reside. This is the moment you understand the profound truth of this war. The goal was never to flip the board and beat her at her own game. The goal was to become so powerful that the game itself becomes a childish distraction. You have flipped the board, yes, but you did not stay to play with the pieces from the other side. You simply walked away from the table. Her desperate moves, her attempts to pull you back into the conflict, are now nothing more than a child throwing a tantrum in an empty room. Her power was a parasite that fed on your attention. By withdrawing it completely, you have starved her of her very significance in your universe. She has been demoted from a queen to a ghost, haunting a past you no longer inhabit. The ultimate revenge is not making her feel the pain she made you feel. Ultimate revenge is her slow, agonizing realization that she can no longer make you feel anything at all. Respect is never given. It is never negotiated. It is the silent, unavoidable consequence of unshakable power. The man you were begged for respect through acts of service and emotional surrender. The man you have become commands it through his absence, through the sheer weight of his purpose. He does not need to speak. His actions, his focus, his very existence broadcasts a message of absolute dominance. She will see you eventually. Perhaps online, perhaps through a mutual acquaintance. She will see the man you have forged from the ashes of her indifference. And what she will feel is not love, not regret, but a profound and terrifying sense of inadequacy. She will understand that the man she thought she had solved was merely a blueprint, a rough draft. The finished product is something she is not qualified to even approach, let alone possess. She did not lose you. She was never in a position to have you in the first place. It was merely a stress test, a crucible that burned away your weakness and revealed the steel beneath. The final silence is not a void. It is a monument. It is a testament to the man who chose himself over the validation of a woman who saw him as a utility. It is the legacy of your self-mastery. You did not get her back. You got yourself back. And in doing so, you built a man she could never deserve. The cold pit in the stomach, the desperate waiting for a notification, the anxiety of her indifference, that is now her burden to carry. But you will never know, because you will never ask. Her fate is as irrelevant to you as a forgotten dream. You did not just stop playing her game. You became the game she can never win. If this final command resonates with the man you are determined to become, then solidify your commitment now. This is not a passive experience. This is active armament. Press the like button as a final salute to the weak man you are leaving behind. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications for this is your new command center, and every directive is critical to your continued ascent. And now, in the comments below, I want you to answer one final question, a question that will define your new reality. Having learned these truths, when you imagine your ideal woman now, what is the one quality she absolutely must possess that you never even considered before? Your answer is not for her. It is the first brick in the wall of your new standards. Define your terms of victory.